What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another rendition of the Kicking It with Cam podcast. I am so excited to have you guys here. And on today's episode, we got something a little bit special. You guys know, as far as the podcast, especially in these beginning episodes, I am trying to test just as many things possible as I can test. So this episode is mainly going to be centering around me telling stories. I've been trying to really get good at the telling stories and perfecting that skill. So that is what this episode is primarily going to be about. You guys know I am pretty much a full-time reseller. So I have 5 really interesting, funny, cool, insightful stories that I think you guys are going to learn a ton from. So without further ado, let's just hop right into the first one. So let me see. I got my notes here just to make sure that I wouldn't forget about one. So this is one, and you guys might have heard a few of these stories because I post about them a ton on my Instagram, but I never really go full in detail of me selling them or me buying it. And then I definitely don't talk about whenever I sell it. Not because I want to hide anything from you guys, but mostly just because it's not always as fun. But I think putting it all together and making sort of like a big picture story will be really cool. So, like I was saying, back to this first one. So earlier, this was during the summertime when the quarantine and everything first started, and I was buying PS3s and Wii, sort of like vintage games like crazy. And I still buy them now, but at the beginning of the summer, I would have like 3 or 4 a week, and I'm just buying them, selling them, buying them, selling them. So I would have a ton of PS3 gear and equipment. So because of that, I mean, I was just buying and selling games literally all the time. This was a little bit, I guess, towards the end of me buying and selling those games, of it being very trending. I was just buying them and selling them all the time. So I get this PS3. It is in great condition. It's a PS3 Slim, so it's not too big, it's not too heavy. I already have all of the cables and all of the wires and everything for it because of all of the PS3s that I've had. If I had an extra cable, if I just had something extra. So I had everything that I needed to actually test this PS3. I had it, I want to tell you, I bought it on like a Monday. I sat on it that Tuesday. I want to tell you, I listed it Tuesday night, and then by Wednesday morning, somebody was telling me that they wanted to come pick it up and buy it from me. So, I mean, I'm looking at the PS3. Again, it is in absolute great condition. Like, it wasn't even any dust on it. And usually these things are super dusty. So, I'm thinking, yo, this thing is obviously fine. I remember I turned it on. I didn't actually have my TV turned on when I turned on, but I just turned it on to make sure that it didn't have, like, any of those really weird sounds sometimes. It's a really good way on how to tell if your game console is broken or not, if the fan is too loud, or if it starts making any jitters or anything like that. So I did that little test, but guys, usually I do a very thorough test of a video game console before I sell it to make sure that I'm not selling anything broken, because people get very pissed off whenever you sell them something that just doesn't work. I've done it a few times before, especially when I didn't know how to test to see if things worked. So I go along about that, and I have this PS3 ready, and I remember being a little bit tired that day, and I said, you know, it'll work, it'll be fine. When they come pick this up tomorrow, everything will work. So the guy comes, he comes a little bit later on in the day. Usually I would put the PS3s in the box and I'll meet you outside of my apartment. So I met him outside my apartment. I said, hey bro, here's the PS3, great condition. I think I even like gave him like a free controller. I was just like, I'm sitting on this, you can have it here, the games, everything that you bought. He was like, well man, thank you so much. And I'll talk to you again soon. Really nice and cool guy. Now I was a little suspect because he kept saying he was gonna come, and he kept pushing it back like an hour. So he was like, I'm gonna come at 4. Oh, sorry, I'm gonna have to come at 5. And I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna come at 6. And then by the time he came, it was probably about 7. No, it was about 8 o'clock because it was fully dark at night. And I always hate doing deals in the dark just because, you know, you never know what could happen, especially with it being dark outside. So I'm, you know, just trying to make sure, fill him out, make sure that he was a cool guy, and ended up being just a really nice guy. He didn't even want to check it to make sure it worked. He was just like, bro, like, I trust you. Let's just give me the thing. He handed me the money, and we both went on about our day. So I'm thinking, I remember I probably bought that PS3 for about 40 bucks. I want to tell you, I sold it for right around 80. So to me, bro, it's an amazing flip. And since and this is a little bit of flashback, since I started reselling back late November, when I really started back late November, I always said I wanted to buy and flip an NCAA 14 game. Now this is the newest of the NCAA football games, and it came out in NCAA 14. Now the reason why the newest one came out in 2014 or 2013 is because on the players fighting for wanting to be compensated, especially for like putting their attributes in the video game but not actually putting their name. It was kind of a shitty system on the way that they went about making those games and not giving the players any money, even though like they're clearly inside of these games. So that was the last NCAA football game that they ever made in 2013-2014 season. Because of that, and we all know how hard people go for like their NCAA football teams, they haven't made any more games. Like they haven't made any copies, they haven't made anything. So the original few that came out back in 2013, 2014 are essentially collector's editions. And I remember playing this game as a kid, and I love this game like hell if I know where it was at when I used to play when I was a kid. But I always said I really want to find this game, because if you can find it, this is an old PS3 game, so people typically don't even know how much it's worth. It's worth about 150 bucks if you can find it. Now, the problem was I couldn't find it. So I would go about a year and I would just look from separate Goodwills. If I ever saw like a bunch of video games at a garage sale, I would sort of like just look and try to just, I wonder if I could find it. I wonder if I can see the case. Wasn't looking for it too hard because I knew it was a very rare game and it's not that easy to find. So I get a text from the same guy that I sold it. So I'm thinking I'm going about my day. I might be eating lunch or something. And he sends me a message. He says, "Hey man, you left this game inside of the PS3 that you sold me. Do you want it back?" Because I don't think I sold him any games with that PS3. So he sends me I was thinking in my head when I first read the message, I wasn't really, checking my phone much. I was like, bro, it's just a game. You can keep it. I don't really care. He sends me a picture of it. It was the NCAA 14, like the one I had spent the past year looking for. It sat in my house for probably like 2 or 3 days. And because I didn't do that thorough check of the PS3, I didn't know it was there. So I look at the message and I swear to God, my heart just stops. I was just like, oh shit. The next thing I think is, this guy's about to be scamming me. I'm finna go and meet him to get this new game. He's gonna jump me. He's gonna try to rob me. Something's finna happen. This is no way this is real. So then looking at the picture that he sent me of the disc. It is in amazing condition. Like no scratches, no like around the edges. None of it is like chewed off or anything like that. It's not rugged. It looks almost perfect. And I was just like, bro, oh my God. Yes, I want this game back. Yeah, I want the game back. What the fuck? Yes, bro, please give it to me. So I sent him a bunch of messages and I'm just like, bro, I'm sorry. The game's not mine. I just a bunch of excuses on like me trying to get this game back, and he wasn't responding. So I was thinking, oh shit, he must have found out how much this motherfucker's worth. He ain't, oh man, and the way he gonna give it back to me. I was like, oh goddamn, Cam, you done messed up on this one. So I remember going like, cause I think he didn't respond that whole day until like later on that night. And he texted me probably like midday. So he didn't respond until later on that night. And he just said like one sentence. He was like, cool, let's meet up soon and I'll just give you the game back. So I'm looking at the message and I'm just like, oh my God, am I getting scammed? I'm finna get scammed. I'm finna meet him somewhere and I'm gonna get jumped and they gonna take all my money. So we go about this thing, right? This probably goes on for about 2 or 3 days of him. I'm trying to play it cool because I was thinking I don't want him to be like, well, why does he want this game back so much? Let me see how much it's worth. I ain't wanting to do that. So I was trying to play it cool. I was trying to act like, I didn't know anything. So we go about that for about 2 or 3 more days. And then he says, well, hey, can you meet my wife at I think she was at like a spa or something like that. And I was like, yeah, I have my homeboy with me. So he says, can you meet my wife at a spa? I said, sure. He sent me the name of the spa, and I pull up to this place. It's about 20 minutes away from my house. So I pull up there, and he says, hey, my wife's outside. She should see you. She's standing outside. So I'm literally standing like right in front of the place, me and my homeboy, and I'm looking at this lady. And I was like, well, she looked like a wife. It's the only lady standing out here. So I'm trying to like smile at her and wave, like, hey, it's me. Um, Give me the game back, please. So I was kind of just looking at this lady, and the lady starts looking at me kind of like really awkwardly. And I'm like, well, lady, I know you ain't never seen me before, but just give me the game, and I'm gonna leave. I'm not gonna keep looking at you crazy. So this lady, me and her make eye contact for probably like 30 seconds straight, and then she just like walks off, and she keeps walking in and out of the building, talking to the people that are right there. And I'm like, damn, I hope she not finna call the police on me or nothing. Like I just want the game back, lady. So turns out that was not his wife. Apparently they has two separate locations that I had no clue about. There was one location that was about 20 minutes away from me, and then there was another location that was about 30 minutes in the other direction. And of course, she was at the one that was about 30 minutes in the other direction. So I'm just like, oh man, I done dropped the ball on this motherfucker again. Like, there's no way I am going to see this game. So I'm in the car with my homeboy, and I'm looking at him like, hey dog, I don't know what we gonna do, bro. So then he sends me another message, and he says, well, which one are you at? I told him. He said, don't worry about it. I'm just going to have my wife meet you at this one. And I was like, man, are you sure? Like, I can really just come and meet her over there. Like, it's really not a big deal. And he was like, yeah, man, don't worry about it. I'm about to tell her to meet you there right now. So we wait in the parking lot for probably about 30 minutes. No word back from them. So I'm looking at him. He looking at me. Like, the place is probably about 20 minutes away. Maybe 30 minutes away. And I'm looking at, and me and my homeboy just sitting in the car. We talking, we laughing. Like, this is probably one of my best friends, so we were having a lot of fun. But I'm just thinking, it ain't no way she coming to give me this game. They don't figure me out already. This is it. And right about the time we were probably about to say, okay, bro, like, let's leave. Like, we were both kind of hungry. Let's just go get something. Let's do something different. A black Escalade pulls up behind us. So of course, the first thing I think is, oh yeah, it's gonna be like 6 or 7 dudes hopping out this car. We finna get jumped and beat up. It is a lady who pulls up in a black Escalade. She smiles at me, and she has like a little disc case in her hand, and she says, "Here you go." So I looked, and I was like, I kind of just took a second, and I was just like, oh, because I'm looking inside the case, and I see that it's the game, and I was just like, oh shit. I was just like, bro, I finally got it. So I looked at it. I was like, yo, thank you so much. She kind of seemed like she was in a hurry. So she was like, yeah, don't worry about it. And I was like, no, seriously, like, thank you. And she said, yeah, don't worry about it. And she kind of just drove off. So I'm looking at this game, and it's like, I finally have this game. Like, finally have it. And I pretty much had it already, lost it, and had to go through like a whole process just to get it back. So that was just a super crazy experience. And I eventually sold the game. I think I sold the game that same week. It might have been the next week for like $100 cash. I sold it on Facebook Marketplace as well. So I mean, off that PS3, I probably made like $160, and I paid like 40 for it. So that is the conclusion of the first story. If you guys want to pull a lesson from that, it is always check the things that you sell, especially if you're selling like PS3s and stuff like I'm selling, where disc could be inside of the game. Always make sure that the cartridge is empty, and just do a thorough check just to make sure that it works. Now, the second story. This is probably, no, this is my most profitable flip to date. And I also posted about this one on my Instagram, but I don't know if you guys know the full story. So a few months ago, back when I was, again, buying and selling those PS3s, this happened all around the same time. I was finding these PS3s and the Wii's and everything like that because I was spending hours a day scrolling through Facebook Marketplace. So I would look for older listings. I would look for sort of newer listings, like 5-10 minutes after people were dropping and trying to sell them. I would find them, and I'm shooting the messages, and I'm trying to figure out like, hey, when can we meet up? When can we buy this? Can we negotiate the price? Yada, yada, yada. And I spent a lot of time on some of that stuff. I started, and Pure Hustle Podcast, big shouts out to them. They're a big podcast that I love to listen to. They start talking, and they say like Budweiser, sort of like if you go into a bar or any place like that, you'll see like the LED beer signs. So they were saying these beer signs sell for a ton, and some of the ones that sell for the most expensive are the Budweiser beer signs. So, I mean, just sort of randomly, I would be typing in Budweiser, just scrolling through, trying to see. Usually, what I would do is I would have one phone, and on this phone, I would look at things on Facebook Marketplace, and then I had my other phone, and I would have the things pulled up on Facebook Marketplace, but I'm searching on eBay how much the things are actually worth. So I would kind of just do that over and over again, and I saw this Budweiser RC car. Now, I saw it, didn't think a ton of it. I kind of just looked at it and I was just like, yeah, I feel like this is probably worth something. This is a Budweiser car. I know RC cars sell for a little bit. I mean, hell, I might as well. So the people on Facebook were asking 25 bucks for it. I pulled it up on eBay and it says that it's selling for, I think it was like 1,200. So $1,200 is how much it was selling for on eBay. Now these Facebook to eBay flips were like super amazing and super profitable, but I had never ran across one that was this, I mean, just absolutely absurd. I'm thinking these motherfuckers gotta be scamming. Like, it is no way that somebody is selling something this cheap that costs that much. So I hit the person up and they say, hey, drive out somewhere. It's like a country part of town. It's probably about 20, maybe 30 minutes away from where I live. So it wasn't a bad drive at all. And I was like, for this much potential profit, yeah, for sure. So I'm driving and I'm trying to check the neighborhood, make sure, nobody finna pull up on me. And we pull into like this, I pull into this really, really nice neighborhood. Like, I'm talking about the suburbs for real, like the stuff they got into the movie suburbs. And I was like, yo, this neighborhood is dope. So I pull up in the address and I see where it is. I pull up in my car and they kind of have like a circle driveway. So it's kind of like it's connected to the street, but it comes out on both sides. So I'm thinking, I'm pulling up trying to plan my escape route, right? Like, I'm just like, okay, like in case somebody pop out this house with a gun or something, I need to have my car parked in the way so I can hurry up and get into it and just drive off. So it's just me being paranoid and everything like that. But I knock on the door and a lady answers the door. This is I don't want to say she was much older. She's probably like 60, but she was like one of those really like funky kind of ladies. Like, she made a lot of jokes. She was really, really entertaining, and she could kind of just tell she just wanted somebody to talk to. So usually when it comes to stuff like this, I don't come inside. But this was a smaller, older lady, and the Budweiser RC car was like really big. It was probably about 3 or 4 feet. It was big enough that it pretty much filled up my entire trunk. And she said, come in and get it. She kind of motioned as if she didn't want to pick up the car herself. So I was a little scared. I was like, I really don't want to go into these people's house. I kind of just met them. And I'm, of course, trying to be real nice. And I'm just thinking, damn, I don't want to come into the house and they like kidnap me or something. So I step inside the house, and as soon as, like, the first thing I'm doing is trying to look for it, see where it's at. I'm thinking if she's selling it, it's going to be out. And then she motions toward the RC car. And I was just like, wow, like, this is it. So then I asked her, I said, it's 25, right? And she said, yeah, like, it's worth 25 bucks. Or she said, yeah, just give me 25 for it. So I immediately pulled out the cash. I was like, here you go. In my head, I'm thinking, I am about to get the fuck out of this place. Because I do not want to stay here any longer. Here you go. Let's just do this deal and let's go. And she asked, because her husband walks by. Her husband is also like a shorter, older dude. I didn't hear him walking in because he didn't have any shoes on, and they were sort of like on hardwood floor. So he walks in behind me and he just says, hey, how you doing? Scared the living shit out of me. And I was like, hey, what's up, man? He told me he bought the car, like, I think he said he bought it over a decade ago when his kids were like still kids. Apparently they had like grown and graduated college and everything like that. And he was like, yeah, it was worth like 300 bucks when I bought it. It sounded a little weird, but in my head, I'm thinking, okay, maybe it just appreciated in value if they stop making these types of cars. So I look at it, and then he says, well, what are you going to do with it? Like, you plan on playing with it? And his wife mentioned, she said something, well, I'm sure he's probably just going to like sell it or something like that. And whenever somebody mentions me being a reseller, I try not to lie. I do sometimes tell them crazy stories just to see if I can like get a rouse out of somebody, but I usually try not to lie. And I said, yeah, I'm probably just going to resell it. And she said, oh, well, really, if you're reselling stuff, then we're moving out of this house. She said, we're selling everything, including the house. Let me show you some of this stuff. So again, a little nervous because she starts giving me a tour of the house, and she's saying, yeah, well, we're selling this bed frame, we're going to sell this for this much, we're selling this for this much. And then her husband says, well, hey, what did you do with all of those college textbooks? Because apparently their daughter had just graduated med school or something like that, and she didn't need any of the textbooks that she had. So she said, the wife says, oh, well, she says to the husband, I just threw them away in the recycling bin. I haven't taken out the recycling bin yet. It's just sitting outside. So I said, and I was just like, college textbooks from medical school? Like, my eyes just go like cha-ching. That's like all I'm hearing is them talk about a bunch of money. So I'm thinking, I'm sitting back and I'm really just like, wow, okay, I really don't want to be here any longer. But if these college textbooks are worth how much usual college textbooks are, like 300-400 just for a used book. And remember, this was in the summertime, so this is right before the fall semester was about to start. So in a few weeks from that time period, people were about to start buying all of their college textbooks. So all I'm thinking is, bro, I am finna cash out like a mother. And she's taking me to the recycling bin, and the recycling bin is filled up to the brim, nothing but books. She says, let's just kick over this recycling bin. You can take as much as you want. So I look, and I'm probably outside for like 20 or 30 minutes looking through like old used textbooks. And I'm just grabbing, I'm like, I'll take that one, I'll take this one, I just take this one too. Just give them all to me. And so at that point, though, the older lady was sitting outside there with me. So for like those 20 or 30 minutes, we were sort of like just talking. And I'm from Texas, yo. So if anybody who's listening to this that's not from Texas, Southern hospitality is just so real. People in Texas can kind of just walk up to each other and start having a conversation like we've known each other for years. So that's kind of how it popped off with the lady. We were just talking. She was telling about her kids. I was telling her about how I resell and how I'm in college and all types of stuff. And what I was mainly telling her is that, well, I use this reselling business to fund my college lifestyle. She was just like, wow, that's so amazing. And we were just really shooting shit and talking. So I have this big ass lot of books, and I'm trying to, I think it was like 2 or 3 boxes just full of books. So I'm taking them back and forth to my car, and I'm obviously about to leave at this point. And she tells me, well, because we're about to move, they were about to move to like a just completely different state. And said, well, because we're about to move, we have all of this stuff that we really want to get rid of, but we don't have anywhere to put it. So I was just going to donate it to the Goodwill. You guys know I'm at the Goodwill practically every day, and the people were just being so nice to me. I said, well, if this is the box of stuff that you guys are going to take, just give it to me and I'll drop it off at the Goodwill, no problem. I'm there like all the time. And she was like, no, don't worry about it. You don't have to do that. And I was like, please let me do this for you. You guys have been unbelievably nice. So fast forward to about a week later, I put the price on eBay, and I'm trying to figure out how to price it. I originally have it priced at 1,200. I was like, this is how much this thing is worth. You know, I need this $1,200. So this is probably like a really beautiful thing about eBay sellers. And this is maybe something that you guys might be able to learn, because I definitely didn't know that, is that there are several different types of RC cars. How you price an RC car is not based on the frame or the part that keeps the boat floating up. It's on the engine. And there are a few, probably like 3 or 4 different types of engines. There's a gas engine. It pretty much works the same way like your car or your lawnmower works. And you put gas into it and it goes really fast. There's another type of engine, and it's called a nitro engine. Now, the nitro engine, you kind of like, it's kind of hard to start up, and people really don't like to deal with it. But essentially what it happens is that you have to burn a part of the plastic stick, and that gets the engine going. It's really hard to use, and apparently it's outdated. People that don't like it very much, and they don't make nitro engines too much anymore because people just never like to actually use the engine itself. So whenever I first looked it up and was finding out what these RC cars were worth, I was looking up a gas engine car, and I wasn't looking up what a nitro engine was worth. So that was probably like the biggest mistake. And I mean, like, absolutely love eBay buyers, because this one guy, like, he got on the phone with me and he explained everything I just explained to you. He was telling me the difference between the two, and he was telling me about how nitro engines are worth way less than gas engines are worth. which is why there was such a huge variation in prices. Like whenever I look through the comps or the completed listings on eBay, I would see some were selling for like 300, some were selling for 800, some were selling for 1200. I of course listed high. I was like, why not just get the most money that I can off of this? And I eventually found out that it actually wasn't worth as much as I thought it was worth. It ended up being worth about 350. So I think I priced it at around, I might have priced it about 450. I might have priced it about 500. I wanted to price it a little bit higher, and because it's like sort of a collector's item, I expected someone to try to counter, because they do that a lot when it comes to older collector's items. Counter my price and sort of just say, hey, can you take a little bit less? So I had expected that to happen. So I intentionally priced it a little bit higher, figuring that that would happen. With all of that being said, the listing sat up for probably about a week, maybe a week and a half, and I just literally am just itching trying to figure out when thing is gonna sell. So, and I didn't even remember that I did it, but I marked on eBay local pickup, and local pickup is exactly what it sounds like. Instead of someone buying something from you and you shipping it to them, with local pickup, you actually have the item and you guys meet up in person. You scan a QR code that the buyer has, and then after that QR code is scanned, the money immediately gets unreleased. So a guy shoots me a message. He says, hey man, I live about an hour away from you. If you want, I can come pick the item up. We can just meet somewhere, but I'm gonna have to take about $200 less. So he wanted $350 for it, and I was originally trying to sell it for about $500. So I sat, and I really sat and thought about this. I was just like, man, I don't know if I want to take this deal, because first off, remember, it's probably about 3 or 4 feet long, and it's kind of fragile. It's made out of thin plastics, like very, very thin plastic, because remember, it's a boat, so it's supposed to float in the water. So I was thinking, and I was just saying, I don't know if I want to take this much less, but at the same time, I don't want to have to ship this, because I've never shipped an RC boat before. I don't even know how I would ship something this long and this sort of slim, especially with it being super fragile. I just don't even know what I would do with this thing. So I sit and I think about it, and I just said, you know what? I probably should just go ahead and take this offer. $25 to $350 is an amazing return on investment, and I might as well just take this shit. So here's the crazy part of the story. Me and the guy, I accept the guy's offer, and I said, hey, yeah, let's meet, man. He said, okay, great, let's do it tomorrow. I'll do it after I get off work. He wants to meet somewhere that's almost an hour away. And I was like, for $350, I have driven way farther for way less. I am on the way. So we get to the day, and I pull up, and usually I'm not on time for things. I'm usually really late for every single event. Not on purpose, I'm just not a timely person all the time. But I was like, yo, this is about the money, it's big boy business. I am gonna be on top of this. So I had planned on being there 15 minutes early, and I was on track to doing everything. I am probably about 20 minutes away from the place. And I'm just thinking, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna go in my truck. I'm gonna give them the RC boat card, and then I'm gonna get paid. It's gonna be doing this. I'm gonna do this with the money. You know, I'm just doing all of this. I'm just really happy and excited that I'm about to make this sale. So I'm driving down the freeway, and I swear to God, I'm driving, and I say, oh, shit. And I'm saying this because when I first bought it and I first got it from the lady, I put it in my trunk. So I put it in my trunk so that it would be safe, and that, like, you know, nothing would rub up against it, no one would see it, no one would get stolen, anything like that. But I remembered the night before, I had taken it out of my trunk and put it on my bookshelf. I never put it back in my car when I was on the way to meet the guy that was an hour away. So I go, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. And I speed back 40 minutes away just to come back another 40 minutes. And I'm an hour and a half late at this point. And I'm telling the guy, like, man, I'm so sorry. I swear I didn't mean to. And he was like, he was really, really cool guy. He was like, yo, dude, I'm just glad that you made it. Because even when I was telling him, I'm texting him on the way back home, he was like, yo, man, just drive safe. You know, the car can be replaced. He said, like, the RC car, it can be replaced. But, like, you know, your life, your car, you know, you don't want to mess up anything like that just to be a few minutes late. Really, really cool, really, really awesome guy. I get to him, I scan it, and then like after a few days, the money is off hold on eBay, and I get like 350 bucks. So that was probably one of the craziest stories. Again, one of my most profitable flips to date. And I don't know what it is about me and all of these crazy journeys and all of these crazy mess ups, but I really hope you guys can learn something from it, or at the very least can laugh and be entertained about some absolutely crazy shit that happened. So here is a story, and I mean this one definitely not as long, but it just broke my heart. Oh my god, it just broke my heart. This actually happened today. So at the time we recording this video, this happened last night. It's a little bit cold in Texas, which is hence why I got the beanie on. It's a little bit colder in Texas, and usually whenever it gets cold in Texas, a place where it's just always hot, things kind of just stop. Like nothing moves anymore. People don't want to go outside anymore. Like nothing is happening outside at all. So that's going on. It's happening right now. As a matter of fact, it was a cold front that happened last night, and it's only like 50 degrees, which is no big deal somewhere else. But in Texas, it's like, bro, it's just cold as hell, and nobody wants to go outside. So with that being said, I was doing like a little bit of research on the garage sales. It's Friday night. So I was doing a little bit of research on the garage sales that I was going to do the following morning on Saturday. I had to take care of some family business. So usually I would go to a few sales on Fridays to check things out, but I couldn't again because of family business. So I'm just randomly looking through estate sales, trying to see if I can find anything that's, actually worth something. And I'm randomly see this vintage film projector. It looks like the film projector is in one of those really, really old movies where it's just really, really big and it has those circly things that sort of move at different angles and it plays the film. So I'm looking at this and I can tell that it's much, much older just by looking at the pictures. And the person who took the picture put the name and the model number of the product in the estate sale photos. So I'm looking at this and I was just like, oh, why the hell not? I might as well just research and see how much this thing is worth. I am researching how much it's worth, and it's on average selling for about $2,000. $1,500, $1,300, $2,000, sometimes $3,000, even $3,500. And I'm just looking at this like, oh my God. The estate sale started the day before. And I'm thinking I can make probably like $3,000 off of this, because sometimes at estate sales, things can be priced pretty cheaply. And especially if it's the last day, they're just trying to get rid of stuff. So I'm sitting and I was up the entire night just thinking about, cause I'm convincing myself, I'm thinking they probably gonna want like $200-300 for it. I'm gonna give them cash right then. I ain't gonna go shit. I'm just gonna give it to them. I'm finna go, as soon as I get it, I'm gonna go out to eat. I'm going to a sports car shop. I'm probably gonna order some more sports cars online. I'm gonna get this gaming chair I've been wanting. I might put the PS5 on pre-order. Shoot, I gotta take a few of my homies out to eat tonight because it's Saturday night. We gotta get lit. So I'm talking about, like, I'm literally spending all of the money that I'm about to make in my head. And I get to the garage sale. So the estate sale, it opens and I want to tell you 9. I pull up at 8:45. I'm just sitting outside. I'm sitting outside just waiting, just like, oh man, I can't wait for it to start. Boy, it's gonna be crazy. We'll make all this money, man. I still don't know exactly how much they want for it, but it's an estate sale. So in my head, I'm thinking they can't be charging anything that much. So I walk into the house. And so I don't know if you guys know how estate sales work, but they're called estate sales because it's sort of like a garage sale, but instead of the products being in the garage, they're in the entire house. So pretty much it's usually what happens whenever someone moves out or if someone dies and they just have a lot of stuff in their house. People have an estate sale and they just sell as much as they can in the house. And usually they donate the rest or have a liquidation company come in and buy all of the stuff. So I'm sitting cool and chilling. It's 8:45. I walk into the house. This is a house, so there are a bunch of different rooms in the house, including the living room, the kitchen, and the garage where people are selling things at. So I'm looking all over the place. I was like, okay, not in this room. I look in another room. All right, it's not in here. I'm going to another room. It's not in here. At this point, I'm getting a little bit worried, and I'm like, oh shit, I might not find it. So I walk and I go into a room. And I say, holy shit, here it is. This is it right here. Oh my God, I found it. Yo, I am finna be swimming in cash. So I take a stop And I look at it, and the only question is, because that means somebody didn't buy it yesterday. The only question is, how much are they asking for it? I look at the price tag. It's in messy handwriting, by the way, and it says they're asking $2,000 for the film projector. I was talking myself into paying $200 for it. So I'm looking at this, and I'm trying to like fight these tears back. I'm just like, oh my God, I just knew I was gonna be banging. I just knew I was gonna make so much money off this film projector. And they want the same amount that it's priced for on eBay. Oh my God, I was so pissed off. I mean, like, I was so upset that I called the lady in there who's over the estate sale, and I said, "Are you sure this is how much this is worth?" And she said, "Yeah, I actually don't make the prices. I work for a company that has these estate sales, and yes, it's worth 2,000. We can't negotiate." She says, "No, there's been a guy who's came in. He came in 2 or 3 times yesterday, and he was just trying to see if somebody had bought it. He was sitting waiting for it because the way estate sales work is every day longer the estate sale goes on, the more things are on discount. So if it starts on a Friday, it's 100% full price. Saturday, it's 25% off, and then Sunday, it'll be like 50%, 70% off. They're just trying to get rid of shit Sunday." And she was saying like, yeah, he's trying to come back and he really wanted it, and I'm pretty sure he's gonna make an offer for it sometime today. I'm sorry. I'm just sitting up looking at this shit, and I'm so pissed off at this point. It's just sad. I'm like, bro, I knew I was gonna be making big boy money today, and I kept just walking by, just looking at it. And I would just walk off again. I just be like, oh shit, man. So I'm just walking through the whole house, just moping. And the lady, they was trying to make me feel better. They was like, well, maybe it'll be here tomorrow and it'll only be $1,000. And I was like, yeah, if it's 1,000, I'm still not gonna buy it. And the reason why I say I'm not gonna buy it, because some of you guys might be thinking, well, that's a $500 profit, or that's in some cases $1,000 profit. The reason why I'm not gonna touch it is because I don't know much about old school film projectors. And if there's something broken on that thing that makes it worth a whole lot less, I have absolutely no clue. I was okay with paying way less for it and hoping to sell it for like 7, 8x how much I bought it for, because in that case, I can just say, hey, it's broken, whatever. On top of that, the thing is huge. It's probably I'm like 5'8", and it's sitting probably at my hip waist. So it's probably about 4 feet tall. And it is heavy as shit. Like, I couldn't pick it up by myself, even when I just tried to move it around. And I'm a grown-ass man, and I couldn't pick it up at all. So on top of that, that means I'm gonna have to go through an entire shipping process of shipping a very, very old electronic product that I don't know anything about, asking for a lot of money for. And I was just thinking that is gonna cost nothing but a headache for a very, very, very slim margin. So I went on ahead and I left it there. And that was probably one of the most disappointing and heartbreaking reselling stories that I have. Because I was just like, man, I know I got this. And especially when I first saw it, yo, you should have saw how my eyes light up. And I was just like, yeah, this the one right here. But it wasn't. It wasn't at all, man. So let me tell you guys this next story. So I am on the thrift store run. You guys know when I go on thrift store runs, I probably go to 2 or 3, maybe 4 or 5 thrift stores at a time. And I just go all back to back. So I'm going on some of this run, and it was a pretty slow week. I think it had been a pretty slow month, to be very, very honest. Me just not finding a ton of things to source. So I'm on this thrift store run, and I'm looking and trying to find just really anything, because I remember that entire day and really that entire month, I just didn't have any signs of life on things that I can buy and just really resell. So I walk into one of my absolute favorite thrift stores. I love this thrift store because they usually are super hit or miss, but whenever you hit big. And I have 2 or 3 thrift stores that are like that, but this is the one that I love to go to, because it's a local thrift store, and it's a local thrift store in a fairly wealthy community. So people rich people think stuff is trash and they just donate it to that thrift store. I, of course, buy it all and then flip it all. So I'm there, and this is me kind of like disappointed. I'm just thinking, yo, this really isn't my day. I'm probably just not gonna find anything. I'm just gonna head home, make something to eat, because it's just I just wasn't feeling that good, and I had my spirits down a little bit because I just hadn't found anything to source for like a really long time. So I walk in and I pretty much do like my whole little laps. Whenever you go to thrift stores, very, very often, you get to know the store. You get to know where they put the new items at, usually where the best items are at, and you get to know the layout of the store. So I'm inside the store, and I'm just like, I look at my 3 or 4 usual spots, and I was like, no, this isn't it. This isn't it. Yeah, I'm just not finding anything here. So I get to a spot that I sometimes find things at, but usually I just straight up don't. And while I'm looking at my phone, looking at a comps of another item, I kind of just peek up and I see like these really, really long things up against the back wall. I didn't know what they were, but I was like, they look sort of out of place. Let me go check them out. I get closer up to them and I see that it's a pair of skis. Now it's weird because again, I live in Texas and there aren't really a lot of mountains for people to be, on in Texas. On top of that, the skis were in really, really great condition. Like they look damn near brand new. They were asking $10 for it. So before I ever researched it, I was like, well, I mean, I'll probably just grab them. It's a really cool item, $10, and it can't hurt, especially with me not being able to buy anything recently. So I look it up, see how much it's worth. Those skis used were worth, I want to tell you, $250, something like that. And they were asking $10 for the skis. So I remember being like super down, not really having the best day as far as reselling is concerned, to me just being up. Like I'm talking about, I grabbed those skis and I was just like, and I literally ran to the counter and I was like, yo, like, here, take my card, please. I need to get the hell out of here. And it's so funny because they're a pair of skis. Like, they're huge. They barely even fit in my car because they're so long. And I listed them on Facebook Marketplace. I think a guy gave me, I think I had them listed for 200 and I sold them in about a week, maybe 2 weeks for 150. So that was a really, really dope reselling story. And I really, really enjoyed that one because it was one of those times where in the reselling game and really in life in general, you can never let yourself get too down. And sometimes I fall victim to that, where if my momentum is down or if my momentum isn't where I want it to be, then so does my confidence sometimes drops a little bit. But then something magical like that happens at a time where I literally didn't expect it to happen. And I spent all of that time worrying, all of that time down when everything was just gonna work itself out anyway. So this is the last of this epic storytelling session. And this is another time. Actually, I want to tell you this was a few weeks before. It was in the same month where I was just telling you guys about it, where I wasn't finding a ton of things to source. So I am at what is supposed to be in a suburb 40 minutes away from my house, a community-wide garage sale. I'm driving through and I get to like the actual community and I start driving through and there's like literally no garage sales. Like, in the way community-wide garage sales works is that they're supposed to be like a humongous, like just like a really, really big amount of garage sales. Literally everybody in the community is supposed to be having a garage sale. But I go to this community and I win it, and I really went out the way to come here. And there were like, I think there was like 2 garage sales. One of them was like these ladies said like a bunch of old clothes, and I really hate selling used clothes. And then there was the one that I actually stopped at, and I kind of just thought, really just for the fuck of it, because I look up and they're sitting, their driveways on top of a hill. So I kind of look up on top of the hill, and I was like, yeah, this isn't it. But I was like, I drove all the way out here. I mean, I might as well stop and try to find something. So I get out of my car, and there are 3 ladies. They were, really kind of quiet. They were really talking to each other. So when I saw them, I asked them, how they were doing. I asked about their day, all of that stuff. And I go to look around, and they absolutely don't have anything. And as a matter of fact, they actually had one item, but I overheard them talking, and they were saying that they were Googling how much the items were worth, and then putting that price on the items, which is a terrible strategy. Like if you're having a garage sale, I don't know why you would want to price things the exact same as somebody could buy it from Amazon. Because in that case, why the hell wouldn't they just buy it on Amazon? But that's besides the point. So as I'm about to leave, I mean, like I'm looking through all of their stuff, and they didn't have a ton of things. And I'm looking through just some of it, and I was there for probably about 5 minutes, and I was like, yeah, this ain't gonna be the one, dog. This isn't it. I overhear one of the ladies talking again, and she asked one of the other ladies, she says, hey, I should probably pull that stuff out of the garage. She said one of their aunts had whenever she passed away. I mean, somebody can probably make some money off of this. So I overheard that literally as I'm walking away. And I was like, oh, okay, let me see what they got. So she turns around and she brings out like these humongous, not even big, they're not huge, but they were really, really heavy. And they were just like these stands with sewing machines on top of them. They were like these wooden desks with sewing machines. I don't even know how to explain it. Like, but like the sewing machine came as just a sewing machine by itself. But they had somebody install the sewing machine inside of a wooden desk, and she pulls two of them out. Again, they're just super duper heavy, and I hear her kind of struggling to pull them out. And I'm looking at them; they're super dusty, and I kind of have an eye for this stuff at this point. And I said, okay, these things are worth something. And she says, well, I should probably search them and figure out how much they're worth. Again, she's talking to the other ladies that are sitting down. She says, I should probably search and try to figure out how much these things are worth. So, of course, while she's saying that, I'm pulling the items up themselves, finding out myself how much they're worth. And one of the sewing machines was worth, I think, about $150 without the desk stand that they had. And then the other one was worth, I want to tell you, was about 250 bucks. So I'm sort of looking at this stuff, and I'm in my car. Like I wasn't in my truck that day. So I'm thinking there's no way that I'm going to be able to bargain with these people. And I don't even want to take this item because first off, it's heavy as hell. So it's going to be terrible to ship. And on top of that, it's installed into a desk. So I just wouldn't want to have to take this thing completely apart and then try to sell it. And it won't even fit in my car, even if I do negotiate with these people. So I say it didn't hurt me at all to sort of help them out, figure out how much their stuff was worth. So I had the item pulled up on eBay. Like I pulled it up in like 5 seconds, and they were, as I'm explaining to them how much the item was worth, they were still trying to like find it. So I showed one of the ladies and I said, hey, look at this. So I show her my phone and I say, this is how much you search on how much things are worth. She said, there's the name of the product. I think it was like a Singer sewing machine. I said, type in the name of the product. Type the name in and then look on the back of it. There's typically the model number on older appliance, things like this. So she was like, oh yeah, you're right. I said, type in that model number. And then I'm just showing her how to search things on eBay. And then I said, now look at this. There were people selling it for like 400, people selling it for like 500. I said, people get confused a lot of the times because whenever they just search something on eBay or on Google, they pull up how much somebody is selling something for, and they base their price around that. That is the wrong way to do it, even though it almost sounds right. What you want to do is this, and I filter by sold and completed listings. I said, you don't want to know how much somebody is wanting for the item. You want to know how much somebody is willing to pay for the item. And you can figure that out by looking at previous sales history. So I show her this, and I'm showing her how much these things are worth. And I'm saying if they're in working condition, they're worth this much. If they're not, they're worth this much. And they were installed into some really nice desks. And I said, because they're installed into some desks, I'm sure you can probably get a few more just for these. And I mean, as I'm explaining it to them, they were just like, oh my God, thank you so much. Like, how do you know how to do this? And I, of course, told them, I'm the greatest reseller in the world. And what I also told them to do was, whenever you have a big bulky item like this, because remember, the sewing machines themselves were probably about 20 pounds, but they were installed into some desks, which added a ton of weight to them. I said, when you have a big bulky item like this, what I would recommend you do is take some pictures of it and then put it on Facebook Marketplace. You're putting it on Facebook Marketplace, so it's only going to get, maybe a 30-mile radius. So you're probably going to want to price this a little bit lower. But if this is really like a family heirloom that you guys want to get rid of, this is probably the best spot to do it. So I think that was just a super amazing story because it was one of those reselling stories where I literally did not benefit at all. I mean, it was really really cool to help somebody and really just do something for somebody, and they like literally in a million years these ladies will I'll probably never meet them again. So I was able to do something nice for someone that probably was never going to be able to do anything nice back for me. And I think that amount of giving, just value, just helping people out, I think that karma, whatever the hell you want to call it, it always finds a way to find its way back to you. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. This is super duper fun because it was just me reminiscing on some older times, me just bullshitting these reselling stories. And again, I really hope you guys found these at the very least entertaining because it was fun as hell for me to record this episode. So, guys, I'm gonna holla at you.